G'day folks, we're here on Ark Survival Ascended and we're going to have a look at how to build some floating bridges. I did a video like this in Ark Survival Evolved and pretty much the methodology has not changed one bit. So down below there we actually have all of our foundations. They are connected via some pillars. If we go to K mode to get a better view here, we've actually got some pillars joining my platform all the way to the ground, and we've actually placed all of those foundations all the way across to where it is that I want to go. Now up here we actually then inherit that same foundation support and we can just build for however much we like. But the key point to all of this is that they must be connected. So if we go down here and we jump off, we grab a hold of our pillar, boom, it's probably going to remove half the pillars, which is it's an interesting one that they've actually got at the moment, where if you pick something up, it picks up all the adjoining pieces if it feels like it doesn't have support. Off it goes. Hopefully my Pteranodon can hold this. It seems to be alright. Now that we've actually disconnected that, even though the foundations below are perfectly in line, they're not inheriting any of the support now, so I can no longer build anything further out. And so I'm going to have to place those pillars down again. But that is the basic premise behind this whole floating structure method. You actually have to have a foundation support running somewhere. You can't actually avoid it, but you can hide the foundations by placing them all the way across the ground to do your spanning. So say for example you have a river and you're trying to build a bridge across the river and you don't want to have it appear as if it's got pillars underneath it. Well, you put the foundations in the water, under the water where you can't see them, and that way you can hide them a little bit. And you can then suspend your platform as far as you like, as long as it conforms to the foundations below. Anyway, that's enough talk. I'm going to get this bridge smashed out and we'll maybe look at some of the, I guess, the look and the feels that I might be able to get this thing and see what kind of decorations we can add to it. Alright, it's done, and I'm very happy with how it all turned out. With the various ways that we can now use the parts, you can actually do quite a significant amount of decoration, which is actually quite wonderful. So as you would expect, I've just got the pillars here, which are the obvious parts, and pillars interspacing as it goes along. But what you're allowed to do now, and I guess it's a little bit hard to see here, we might actually have to fly up to be able to see it at all, but at the base of that railing up the top here, there is actually a pillar. We can land. Right, so that's not just a railing going across horizontally there is actually a pillar that's horizontal as well. So you're allowed to build the pillars in a horizontal as well as a vertical fashion now, which is a nice change. So you can actually build, I can't actually see it from here. I've actually got a flagpole up the top there as well. So we've got a flagpole up the top there, so you can actually build the vertical. You can kind of see that I've got some decorations there running on the corners on the outside, and then horizontally I'm marking out some sections here which end up being garden beds. So yes, the horizontal and the vertical is very, very nice, and it would, like, you can see myself making like some lantern hangers by having some horizontal posts as well, which would be quite nice. That's all separate to the bridge. We're going to go into all of that stuff there a little bit later on. This is a bit of a sneak peek of what's coming. This is certainly not finished. I've actually got to build something to make some colours, I think, and I'd love to colour this bridge some different colours as well. That will have to come another time. Let's talk a little bit more about what actually happened here. We just have the regular roof pieces. What ended up happening is I inverted, so you've got a rail, invert another one and put another rail, and you get this nice little window-like, or not thatch, I don't know what you'd actually call that, but it's a nice effect basically. And I can actually stack a roof piece over the top of that, and I'm actually thinking that once I get into making glass, I should be able to put a glass window over the top of that, and so you'll end up being able to get the proper shelter, but at the same time have that nice little kind of a sunroof look. But what ended up happening with these railings is that it has to have at least one roof piece as support. So I could have done this hatchwork kind of patterning all the way along, but at some point or another I must have had at least one roof piece. For some reason these guys don't actually provide support by themselves, but I kind of just went with the pattern of 2 and 2. As it turned out, I was very, very lucky, and it was an even number all the way across. Very, very happy with that. And then we have these railing pieces, and you can actually use the railings as an awning now. And so you basically extend off the end of a roof piece, you can actually follow the same angle as it comes down, and make yourself a nice little railing. I've used stone here just to give a bit of a contrast between the wood and the stone, so it actually gives it a bit more of an effect. and I've carried that all the way through. And then the other thing that we can actually do is we can angle our pieces now, which is actually even more interesting. You can basically make your own patterns. You don't have to rely on me just sort of swapping the orientation there. So if we cycle through to the railing, so I can point here at the various different things. So it's a bit weird, you've got to play around a little bit. Obviously you could cycle through the snap points here, but that's the angle that I was working with. But if we look at this one, we can actually see that there's actually a bit of a steeper angle. So it's actually snapping from here all the way up to the top of something on the outside. Let's go and have a quick look. We can see that it's actually snapping onto the top of the railing. And so by putting a railing on top of my pillar, it's created a snap point that the railing has been able to give me a different angle. And so with that, you can obviously play around. You can get different patterns of the woodwork of the railings. And I find that's I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it is allowing you to create really funky patterns. So I've gone for an inverted V here, or gone for a V here. You could go for an inverted V in upwards direction. Here's some interesting ones to get there. I ended up having a bit of a gap in the middle when I did it that way around. Let's grab, might as well do it now. You see what it looks like. So if we grab our railing, see if we can orientate it. There we go. We go down there, plonk. And so yes, you get this nice little inverted V shape, a little, I guess it's a gable shape, but you end up with this gap in the middle. And I could follow that same line and actually have a second one doing the same thing, going down in the other direction. But because I don't have any lower section of my bridge, and I'm half tempted to do like a little half wall or the quarter wall, and fill that out so it's a bit more blocky and give it a little bit more substance to make it feel like you're actually walking on a bridge rather than something paper thin. But you end up with this gap, and to be able to get rid of that gap, I haven't really played around too much to get rid of it. I just discovered that you can do the V shape, and I really like the look of that one instead. So let's pop this back the way that it should be. Done. Alright, and yes, what we also have, there is an inverted, I think it's inverted. There's an inverted railing piece underneath in the crenellation up there. Crenellation, the ridge, mainly because as it transitioned between the roof pieces and the other railings, the wooden railings here, the texture of the beam changed. And so I wanted to have something a little bit more uniform all the way through. So I used a stone railing inverted, and then as it changes from roof to the hatchwork, there is also another railing on the inside here, just to give it the appearance that there's some kind of structural support that's actually holding it up, even though the whole thing is just cosmetic. And then this continues all the way through to the other side, at which point there's a little bit more, but it's pretty much more of the same. All the techniques that I've used here are then transferable, you creating all kinds of patterns that you'd be interested in. And so because there was a stone railing on the outside that goes all the way along, I decided to join onto that and continue down. As you don't actually get the ability to, at least I haven't worked out how to get the roof pieces to go at an angle, because I would have loved to have actually had the roof continue down to the bottom there, but I can't angle the roof in that fashion. And so I went with an open thing and then continued the stone rail across the top of each of the posts, just to give it a continuation of effect. And then again, it's kind of how we were doing the angle of the wooden rails, one that follows the step as a handrail and another one which is a little bit more cosmetic, all the way down. And although I've just harvested all the metal nodes, this little section here used to be a pillar covered in metal nodes. It's not as covered in metal nodes. There was 4 readily accessible, and I've yet to check the sidewalls to see if there's more. But the whole point of doing this, while ostensibly it was to collect that metal, really I just wanted to build a bridge. And I've already collected that metal, so I now should be able to get into my long neck weaponry. I've got to go and team up some other beasts to outfit myself a bit better. I definitely need an Argent, because I mean an Argent's going to make this bridge completely superfluous. But yeah, it's not done purely for the resource gathering, it's done for fun. Let me sort out this water and we'll then have a look at what I'm going on over here. Alright, as a sneak peek for this, I'll put a picture up of the, I guess, inspiration for this particular build. And I saw a picture with, it looked like a protest, but the style of building had me intrigued, and so I decided that I would try and do it. The whole thing is based on this inverted shape, and I'm actually loving this new building part. Actually, we should grab one of them now. So if I grab one of these parts, instead of having the regular triangle parts, which is this one here, which it defaults to, if I pop that down there, it doesn't fit nicely into that space, and so doing corners never actually worked properly, and it was always a pain, because if you wanted to build a house, a square house, and actually have a proper square roof which was pointed, so I can't remember what those had. It's not a gable roof, it's the other one. But yes, if you wanted to have a roof that actually fit properly, you wouldn't be able to do it. But we can cycle through a 45-degree angle versus the isosceles, I guess it is, triangle. And as a result, we get these nice, neat corners now. And so the reverse of that is you'll be able to have that nice angled roof, which is actually wonderful. It's like it's something that was missing for a long, long time, and they've managed to get that in. There's another drop coming down. There is a drop that actually comes here, and I managed to smack my post dead center on the drop. I hadn't intended to do it, but it basically, the drop comes and lands right here on the pillar. Yeah. Anyway, we've got the viewing platform. There is actually some stairs inside that, spiral stairs all the way up. You can come up the top and you can actually view the landscape from up here. Only a very, very simple tower at this point. I want to change the colours of most of this stuff. I don't want it to stay solid grey. I'd like it to maybe have more of a sandstone colour. And I've got to try and work out how maybe I'm going to accent a lot of this stuff. Because, I mean, when you look down here, it's fine on the top here where I'm going to have my planters. But everything else is just like an unrelieving grey, even with this pillar up here. I may need to change some of these solid squares for the quarter squares, and that way I can interchange them with other things, like maybe some glass for windows and things like that. But yes, there's a lot of work yet to go into this build, and this will have a proper tour much later on when I've actually finished it. Plenty of external room for tames. And so we've got to put up some railings and everything else around the outside so that hold everything in. And at the moment, because of, even though I'm level 69 already, I haven't actually gone and done anything else in the game. I got my basic creatures. I came over here, went and got a Doedicurus and Castroides, so I could just get stone and wood, and I've just gone to town on building. So yes, I haven't outfitted very much at all because it's all just been building. I've been having lots of fun. But the next up is to get back into the game. We've got to go and get some better tames. An Argent would be good because I'm going to need a ton of metal, but that all comes later. Anyway, that's a little sneak peek into the build. We're back to being ridiculously hot. Yes, because I am so close to drops, and there's one that actually comes down, I can fly up and get it. I had some Ascendant Riot pants and chest piece drop, and these things, while they're terrible in the heat, the armor value of them is just through the bloody roof. Go and have a look at some of the other things we've got here. Yeah, the chitin stuff is what you'd expect. It's a little bit better than normal. Got some better than normal cloth pieces. Don't really use it. Got a pattern for the Journeyman, right? It's nowhere near as good as the one that I'm actually wearing, but yeah, got that nonetheless. We killed an Alpha Rex, so I got myself a Journeyman pick. Other than that, I haven't really got much in the way of weapons. An Ascendant bow, it's like, okay, that's nice. It's not really what I want to use though, but I got one. Other than that, we have the saddles have just been coming through Ascendant. I don't like that it's all Ascendant. I would have liked a little bit more progression, but it's probably because I've put the difficulty up to get level 180 creatures, and so I don't really I'm probably getting that because of that. Alright, well, I hope you've actually found that interesting. Nice little bit of tunnel vision down there of me spending way too much time building, but that's alright. The only thing that I probably think that they could add right now that would help improve things is, while we've got the horizontal pillars and we've got the vertical pillars, it'd be nice if we could actually get it like the railings, where when we place down a railing, it should be able to follow the contour of the angle that we're actually interested in. So I would have liked to have put a pillar in along there, and probably some in between down here, to give that a little bit of an accent, to show that maybe there's some kind of support that's actually holding it up, a bit of structure. But at the moment, I can't work out how to do that. I could probably get a railing and put it along there, and it'll give it that accent that I'm actually looking for, but I would have preferred it if I could just have the straight block pillar. So maybe they could actually get rid of the pillar and change the railing to actually have another variant, which is a pillar. And that would probably resolve most of the problems. Except there's no vertical handrail. So yeah, don't know. Maybe it's food for thought for them to actually, for things that they could possibly do. Alright, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching all of it and the little tour of my bridge and all the rest of that sort of stuff. I'll be getting stuck back into it. Got a few ideas for a couple of videos coming up. Just got to get the time to do them. Alright, thanks for listening in, and I'll catch you in the next one.